Hello guys and girls, my name is AnxietyMuffin and today we're gonna try to play Trick or Treat. It's a, what is it, interactive novel game, question mark? I don't remember. It's a free game on Steam. It looked kind of neat. It was pretty highly reviewed and a lot of people said that they very much enjoyed it. There were some people who said it made them cry, that it was surprising. There's different options, so it's like a pick your own story kind of game, and I thought it might be interesting. So yeah, if I could get my shit to go. Okay, let's get started. I haven't played this at all. I don't even know really what it looks like. The sound of our steps combined with that of the occasional nocturnal animal is the only thing we can hear. It's terribly dark in this place. The dense vegetation makes it impossible to see the sky or light from the moon. Our flashlights are the only thing that light up our way. At times like this, one begs to not run out of battery. We walk without knowing what we are really looking for, or better said, for no reason. We're just a group of boys bored with our lives, trying to create a lasting memory on this night instead of just staying home doing nothing. Today is October 31st, All Hallows Eve, better known as Halloween. 3 young men walk through a dark, but up until now nothing special forest, me being one of them. We're doing it to prove our courage. It's too bad there isn't a girl here to say how brave we are. Seeing it like that, one could say this is a meaningless effort. For a moment I stopped to look at my watch. It's 1:49 a.m. That means we have been walking aimlessly for more than 2 hours now. I'm sure that many people would find a place like this terrifying. But once you get used to it, the fear disappears, making it feel like normal. What makes us afraid of the dark is that we cannot know what hides in it, what lurks in the shadows. But this is clearly an empty darkness. At that moment I sigh, feeling how tired my legs are. What is the point of being here? Clearly we had already demonstrated what we wanted. It would be best to return, I should tell them. Ooh. I was about to speak when suddenly the atmosphere in the forest becomes strange. Suddenly a cold chill runs through my body. It was like any other chill, except it was not going away. For no reason, the air's temperature dropped from one second to the other. So much so, my breath becomes visible, turning into a mist. It doesn't end there. The air is now filled with a rotten smell, just like a short from being unbearable. Images of worms and flies soon appear in my mind, giving me a really unpleasant feeling. We all stop at that moment. What's happening? I asked, confused, while turning to look at my friends. By the expression on their faces, it was easy to know that they were just as lost as I was. Oh, that scared me. It was then that we heard footsteps nearby that did not come from any of us. We all got dead quiet after that. I don't know if it was out of fear or to check if it was not a mistake, but we stayed motionless like statues without making a noise. Just looking at each other's faces, wondering the same thing. What was happening? As if I could know. We heard the steps again. They clearly belonged to a human, or at least to a large animal. But there's something strange about them. It sounds as if the person walked dragging one foot. Just thinking about it made me shiver. Damn! Why is this happening? It makes no sense. We should have returned home before, but now it's too late to regret it. I have the feeling that we were being stalked by someone. The strange footsteps stop, but I'm still feeling the presence nearby. I don't know where it is, but I know that it's looking at me. That cursed thing is looking at me. My heart is beating anxiously. It's almost as if my body was telling me to get out of there. But strangely, my friends seem unable to perceive it. It seems that it's gone. It must have been just an animal, said one of them, convinced that we were safe. I would like to believe that too. We had a sigh of relief. However, bad luck would soon strike us again. Okay, good setting. Unexpectedly, the forest becomes darker than before in just the blink of an eye. But that wasn't the fault of the forest, but of our flashlight, which went out. Of the three, only one, mine, was still working. What's going on? Did the batteries die? Asked one of them, scared, while they both beat them desperately as if that was going to revive them. I can't blame them. The idea of walking in the darkness was not pleasant for anyone. But after a few moments, we had no choice but to resign ourselves to that. Once more the sound of our footsteps is heard. But the silence is different now. We're not quiet because we have nothing to say, but because we are afraid. We continue walking despite the fear that invades us. Visibility is almost zero, but we have no choice. In theory, we were walking back looking for an exit, but I cannot remember anything of this forest. We could be walking in circles and I would never notice it until it is too late. I hate the thought of it. I just want to get out of here. Suddenly my thoughts are silenced. We hear the footsteps of someone or something. Once more the three of us become statues awaiting the presence to go. I hold my breath while feeling my heart beat anxiously. Damn, get away from here. Leave us alone. Unexpectedly the steps are heard closer. This time they do not disappear, but rather come at us. I can't stand it. Desperately, I move my flashlight everywhere, looking for the author of those footsteps, hoping for the light to reveal their identity and erase our fears. Nothing. Is that all there is around here? Just empty air? My anxiety grows with each failed attempt. I refuse to believe that it was a ghost. Suddenly, when I move the flashlight again, I see a silhouette. I could not distinguish what it was, but for the moment, the light revealed something. Quickly I point to the same place only to discover it was gone. I hold my breath anxiously. It was not an illusion. I'm sure that I saw something. It was then that I hear something nearby. Without even thinking, I aim the light towards that place. What I found leaves us paralyzed with an expression of disbelief on our faces. It is a white cat with eyes of an intense red which stands before us. Her look is not the friendliest, to say something. Somehow I get the feeling it's a female cat. Suddenly she lets out a thunderous meow that leaves us terrified. I'm sorry. It sounded more like a lion roaring than a simple cat. The echo of her meow is heard throughout the forest, making it sound more sinister than it should be. It was then that suddenly an inexplicable force hits us three. Oof. I fall to the ground and little by little my eyelids close. The fatigue becomes unbearable. I lose consciousness on the ground of the forest without knowing what was going to happen with me. Alright. So we have established something. Alright. It is a day like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or at least seems like that. There were some who had good costumes, whether of superheroes or monsters. My friends and I, on the other hand, had to use our imagination. Creativity was our costume, you could say, no matter how funny it could sound. I remember that my mother once painted red on my face and told me, "You will be the devil." But it seems only she saw it that way. When we went from home to home, everyone said I was the Tomato Man. But those things didn't matter to me since we always had a good time. That's what matters. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything. Except perhaps a scolding for acting like a child when I was 17 years old. But anyway, I can't stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how little exciting that might be. Back to reality. We are a group of friends who don't have any plans for today. We're still not old enough to go to a disco. A disco? What is this set in? And I doubt you guys would have any luck in that environment. I doubt guys as us. Okay. The other option would be go to a party, meet girls, and have fun. Everything perfect except that nobody has invited us. Not being popular has its disadvantages. Hey Axel, let's have a couple matches. What do you say? My friend Steven called my attention while playing with the game console. Rush Red. I believe that's what the game is called. A fast and quite complicated fighting game for me. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason I don't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play now. I replied with discouragement. I almost feel bad for doing it. Boring! The AI is no rival for me, Steven said with confidence. That you're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge to Alfred. Steve, I escalated. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, you can scroll back. I discovered that on accident. I said, leading the attention to my other friend. I don't know how to play that, answered Alfred, doubting for a second. He is sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he isn't doing anything interesting. The screen only shows a lot of text. I think he is in Wikipedia. Hey, don't you have something more fun to do? I asked with discouragement without even thinking about what he was reading. Alfred looks at me surprised. The actual problem of society is that people are not interested in discovering their history. He's one of those pseudo-intellectuals always looking for new rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forget our past mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them, he added later. What are you talking about? This village is small and its story is not interesting at all. Nothing outside of the normal has ever happened in it. Alfred laughs mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. He pauses, filling his chest with pride. The very fact it is a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago, on this date, a man disappeared? So, what about it? I asked without being impressed or even interested in the least. Things like that happen all the time in places. As I thought, you don't know the history despite living in this very place, Alfred said while adjusting his glasses in an arrogant gesture. There is a legend behind the disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back at the computer screen with curiosity. It's then that I noticed that it was not Wikipedia, but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little, Alfred said, inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. What could it be? Town of Abingdon, Oxford Country, 1994. I don't want setup. Heck. I came to this town with only 4,000 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Truth is that never in my life have I seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I've seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes, some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate the crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. Truth is that I can't understand what happened. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham. 23 years, single. The last time he was seen, he was returning home from a Halloween party. He had drank alcohol but was still sober, or at least that's what witnesses said. Anyway, this is not something which can be explained with simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces, which were leading deep inside the forest. Apparently he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is we don't know what happened then. The track suddenly ended up in the clearing in the forest, and that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace, or piece of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints, anything else. The depth of his last footprint and the position they were in indicated that he was still walking. At no point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in the air, with all his clothes in the middle of his walk. Obviously I can't believe such a thing, but I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remember is that near the footprints, I sensed a faint smell of rot. However, there were no animal corpses nearby. It is ridiculous to think he suddenly started to decay and became earth. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. With no evidence of any kind, we couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought of all sorts of theories, like maybe everything was a plan to develop by Matthew, but in the end, they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more. All young men. The story was always the same. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without a trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But there is more. A detail that completely eliminates the possibility that there is a killer or kidnapper behind this, and that is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867. Jason Black disappeared in 1813. And the worst of all, Oswald Tyler disappeared in 1707. It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. It was then that I discovered that what seemed to be a simple and boring forest actually hid a great story. Before it was called Oakwood or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. The word witch was hugely similar with witch. Taking into consideration that it is an old name and language changes over time, that indicates that it was the Forest of Witches. Apparently more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the woods. Unfortunately, almost all that information is already lost. There were stories told in voice without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently the last one before death cast a curse on the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, I obviously cannot accept something like that as the answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each one of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was something supernatural. Okay. Interesting story. I didn't know that such a story was hiding in this town. I said honestly surprised. Even if it was a lie, it managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more, Alfred said at the time he scrolls to the comments. We read what was written there. A couple of comments caught our attention, both of them talking about some creature. At the time, they felt a horrible fear for what they could happen to them. Well, the 2 comments share great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend, but couldn't find anything. I thought they only read these things to look more cool before the girls, replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame. Partly, yes. It's whatever works, dude. He admitted it. That was a secret everybody silently knew. Well, now we have an activity for tonight, Stephen said, at the same time he makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost. I thought we were just killing time. Simple. Let's go to the forest. Stephen replied without hesitation. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Said Alfred, unable to believe what he just heard. You only needed to look at his face to know he did not like the idea. Despite everything you've heard, you want to go? Of course it would be a test of courage among us 3, replied Stephen, full of confidence. Perhaps too much. He should relax a bit. Don't tell me you're afraid. No. Why would I be afraid? Answered Alfred. At the same time he folded his arms, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you're afraid, Alfred. Almost as much as when you have to talk with a girl. And what about you, Axel? Don't tell me you won't come. Suddenly Stephen asked me at the same time, looking at me mockingly. Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group. I hate that tone of voice he used. I will never give you that, I said without thinking, showing a confident smile and a look. Well, let's not say more. Take your coats, backpacks, flashlights, and some food. We're going to the forest, Stephen said, full of energy. Yeah! We three said in unison as if we're going to have some kind of private party. Like, what is that even? Not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. Whew. It is 12:13 a.m. now. Back. I wake completely confused, not knowing how much time has passed. My head hurts like hell, but I can't blame it. Fortunately, the pain goes away quickly, just as my confusion. Soon I come back to my senses. My flashlight is lying on the ground, shining towards the empty air. I immediately pick it up. It was my only protection against the darkness that surrounds me. Then I remember that Stephen and Alfred were with me. Stephen! Alfred! Can you hear me? Without thinking, I scream their names in the dark while trying to find them with my flashlight, but there's no trace of them. They're gone. Where the hell are they? What the heck just happened? I really don't understand anything. Shit, we should have stayed at home. This is not a proof of courage. We could be in danger. I have to find them. Alright, 2:19. A little time has passed since I started to look for my friends and I already can't stand this place. I'm going crazy in this forest. The darkness that covers it is unnatural. It is the darkness that steals your own sanity, replacing it with anxiety. I know that feeling. To make it worse, the air is damp and cold as in winter, carrying a strong rot smell, as if there were corpses of animals hidden throughout the forest. The atmosphere in this place is oppressive. With every step you take, it makes you more uncomfortable. Since I started looking for my friends, I felt that something is watching me, but there is nothing. I sigh with my voice full of frustration. I just want to get out of here. I continue walking, devoid of any hope. No matter where I look or how much I walk, I find nothing. I cannot even hear the sounds of animals. Rather, it seems that they were already dead and rotting. No, I have to calm myself, I said to myself. I stopped for a moment to rest. I breathe deeply, but the rotten air of this place does me no good. Immediately I start to cough as if I had something stuck in the throat. Shit, shit, shit! What am I going to do? This cursed floor. This cursed forest seems endless. And even if by miracle I could escape, I cannot abandon Stephen and Alfred. I'm really screwed up. Again, I sigh, feeling on the verge of tears. My frustration is building up, but I have to do my best to keep calm. If I fall into despair, then there is no doubt I will be joining the list of missing persons. In the end, I decide to keep walking. Step by step, I should get somewhere. At least I was convinced that staying in the same place would not do me any good. Even if it was only to deceive myself from feeling that I'm doing something, I wanted to continue walking. Time passes without any changes. Only the sound of my footsteps can be heard. Knowing that as soon as you stop, you will be surrounded by a dead silence is a good incentive to keep walking. But my legs are already hurting. Suddenly I hear a crack at my feet. Instantly I take a step back and look below to see what made that sound. What is this? I whispered to myself, surprised. Discovering that I'd stepped on an animal bone. I believe that it's from an animal, although I do not rule out the possibility that it belongs to a person. But for my own good, I prefer not to think about that. An expression of anguish is drawn on my face. It is best to ignore it. I have to keep walking. Suddenly my flashlight reveals something. Without hesitation, I point towards there again. It's a kitty! Only to realize with the surprise that it is the white cat. The one time before which made that awful meow, but this time I find it lying on the ground. It appears to be fainted, and it is wounded. And what should I do? It's best to continue without waking her. That cat is dangerous. It's her fault that I ended up in this place and my friends are missing. But even knowing that, for some strange reason, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Even if it is unnatural, it is still an animal. I then bend down to see her closer. She's unconscious and there's a thin line of blood coming from her mouth. I'm a real idiot, I said to myself at the same time I cleaned the blood from her mouth with a handkerchief that I had with me. Fortunately, she doesn't wake up. I then close her mouth, making her appearance a little better. Now she seems to be peacefully sleeping. Okay. So now I have a kitty. After a long sigh, I decide to pick her up carefully. I don't know what the powers of this cat are, but if she brought me here, then maybe she can return me to my world. With her in my arms, I decide that the best thing I can do is to continue walking. 2:31 a.m. Again, I find myself in the dark forest walking aimlessly, only moving forward, but it didn't seem I was getting somewhere. In my arms I carry the cat, which sleeps soundly. Come here, you'll be safe. I suddenly stop. It was probably easy to see the disbelief on my face at that moment. It's that voice again, I whispered to myself with no one to listen to me. Shortly after I found the cat, a mysterious voice appeared in my mind. It was a feminine voice, soft and gentle, as if it belonged to a princess from a fairy tale. But I can't trust it. Am I really going crazy, or is it this forest that doesn't make any sense? I don't know, but I don't like any of the two options. I then feel the cat move in my arms. I look down at her, confused, just to see how she opens her red eyes suddenly. I became quiet at that instant. For a moment, the two stayed motionless, staring into the eyes of the other. The red eyes of the cat are disturbing to me, but also there's something fascinating about them, something that attracts me. I lose myself in her eyes as if hypnotized, until suddenly she jumps with the intention of scratching my face. My reflex is pushing her at the same time I jump back, turning my head to dodge her claws. I manage to dodge her attack, but in the process I drop my flashlight. I panicked and acted clumsily. The flashlight falls near me, lighting up a tree in the vicinity. As soon as it left my hands, I remember how dense this abnormal darkness is. I quickly pick it up, not even thinking before taking action. I then light the place where the cat was. Only discovered she had arched her body angrily, as if she feared an attack from me. Those red eyes stare at me. Shining with the light of the flashlight, it is as if they were jewels, reflecting a fearsome hatred and rejection towards me. My body freezes after seeing them. I can't even think. The cat then lets out a thunderous meow similar to the one before, but weaker, although not any less frightening. There is no doubt that there is something wrong with that animal. It must be cursed. Everything is her fault. She must be some kind of evil spirit, a pet of the witches. I feel how panic seizes me. My heart beats quickly, begging me to do something. My mouth is dry and my forehead covered with cold sweat. What should I do? I fucking don't know. Confront the cat? I'm gonna kill myself. No, I should not despair. I have to calm down and think carefully about what I should do. With that in mind, I take a deep breath and look again at her. Soon the expression in my eyes changes from fear to courage. I realize it is only a cat. Without a doubt, a strange one, but my life is not actually in danger. That's what she took you here. I don't know. That isn't a tiger standing in front of me, but a simple cat. Apparently her only power are those weird meows. If she could kill me, she would have already done it. So I rule out that possibility. Her work must be transporting the next victim to this area of the forest, so unnatural and shady. After filling my lungs with air, I slowly walk towards the cat. Her meows get louder with every step, but I don't let them scare me. Seeing that I do not turn back, she shyly takes a step back. In my mind, I smiled at that image. The prey is now the hunter. I look at her directly while advancing. Little by little, her meows become weaker, as if she was losing strength. Then I suddenly jump and take her in my hands. She hardly resists at all. Not so tough now, right? You look better like this. She is trembling in my hands. She looks so helpless that I almost feel like a villain. But I must not forget all that she's done so far. It's her fault that I'm in this place. She brought me here. Then if I kill her, who would it be to possibly go back? For a moment, that grim idea crossed my mind. I'd never killed an animal. Truth is that I can't be proud of myself in doing such things. But if I do, maybe this legend could end here and now. Then, what should I do? I don't want to kill her. I'm gonna keep her captured, I guess. It's only logical. The magic should die along with the cat. That should be my ticket back. If I kill her, everything would be over tonight and the legend would come to an end. Confident that it was for the best, I try to view it in my mind, but no matter how hard I force myself to see it, in the end, I'm unable to take the life of another living being. Even if it is a cursed cat serving a witch, I don't feel good killing her. I think I'm too nice for my own good. So the only thing that remains is to keep her with me, hoping that sooner or later she allows me to escape. With nothing more to think about, I decide the best thing to do is continue my path. "2:41 a.m. It's been a few minutes since I captured the cat. Again, I find myself walking with her in my arms, led by the strange voice. How long have I been walking in this forest? Apparently not enough to make me go mad, but it should be close. Don't be afraid. Come with me. I will help you. The voice sounds closer this time. It seems like I'm going in the right direction. I don't fully trust in it, but it's the best I have. At least at first glance, it seems a friendly voice. I'm completely focused on my way when I suddenly feel something bite me. Is it that cat? Arrgh, what the heck? I shout in pain, realizing that the cat bit my arm. Fortunately, it wasn't a dangerous bite, but it sure was painful. Little bitch head. With my distraction, she takes the chance to jump from my arms, falling a few steps away from me. Quickly, I set my gaze upon her, furious, but soon something happens that makes me forget about my anger. Oh. Suddenly, the cat is covered with a bright light, so much that it repels the unnatural darkness surrounding the forest, stealing my breath. Under the light, its figure gradually changes until it ceases to be a cat and becomes a human figure. Magic shit. What's happening? Aw. Look at you. No longer is there a cat in front of me, but a girl with incredible beauty. I must really be going crazy. She has white hair and red eyes. She seems about my age. In other circumstances, I would have asked her out without hesitation, just right there. Hey, I knew you were a cat 5 seconds ago, but, let's go. Just thinking about it makes me laugh to myself in my mind. Me too. Even at the edge of madness, it seems some things about me will never change. She approaches slowly towards me, one step at a time, with no fear. The girl then stares into my eyes with a slightly irritated face. Her lips are moving. She seems to be saying something, but I'm unable to hear a sound. Are you trying to tell me something? I babbled, still confused, with a face of disbelief, which surely made me look stupid. Said the girl with a very low voice. I do not understand what she is saying. What? I can't hear you well, I asked, still confused. Suddenly the girl pouts in a bad mood. What's wrong with you? Are you deaf? Finally I could hear her clearly. And just in time, because it seems her patience was about to end. Okay, now I hear you, I said, annoyed. All of my astonishment from just a few seconds ago disappears when I see the arrogant attitude of the girl. At least now I don't think she will bite me. I hope. The girl then snorts with irritation. What an annoying guy I had to find, she said at the time she places a hand on her lips, making a pensive face. Wait, you shouldn't speak ill of someone you have right before you. I was quick to respond. For a moment, I feel annoyed at the thought that I have to teach manners to this spirit, or whatever she is. A pity, so much beauty wasted on someone so arrogant. The girl let out a snort of annoyance after hearing me. I'm sorry. It's a bad habit that I can't quit, she answered without sounding very repentant, clearly a false apology. After talking, she diverts her gaze towards the surroundings as if she was bored. I see, I replied, annoyed. I just met her and I already feel I don't like her. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I must not forget who that girl is. She was the cat that started it all. Okay, so I didn't realize how long this was going to be when I started. I think we should be able to save. We're going to save here. Save right there. Seems good. Okay. No, we'll just leave that alone. Okay. I think we're going to leave this here. I don't know if I'll continue it or not. I mean, I want to because I want to know what's happening, but whew, it's long, a lot of talking. So we'll see. But it seems really interesting. I think there's 2 girls in it, so I'm curious to figure that part out. But yeah, it's bizarre. Like, I don't know what's happening at all. So yeah. Maybe we'll continue this on later? I guess if you liked it, do whatever you do with the like button. I don't judge. And see you guys next time. Bye.